This AI business model will create millionaires or even billionaires in 2025. It could be bigger or it could even completely replace SaaS, the best business model we've had so far, which is software as a service, a market of more than $300 billion. In this video, I will explain exactly what this new model is, share literally everything you need to know to get started, even if you're a complete beginner, and even provide you with a complete step-by-step roadmap you can follow to profit from this opportunity before everyone else. At the end, we will even do an interview with someone who has already gone through all of these steps and currently generates $50,000 per month with this new amazing model. Before we dive in, if you're new to this channel, welcome. My name is Arseny and I've been building AI solutions for the last 4 years. We were one of the first AI agencies to start building AI agents for businesses worldwide using my own AI agent framework with over 3K stars on GitHub. And no, unlike all other agency owners on YouTube, I won't even be selling you a course or a paid community at the end, and it's not even in my plans for 2025. We'll be doing exactly what I teach you here in this video ourselves. Lastly, for all my long-term subscribers, sorry for the recent slowdown in content. I'm currently in the process of relocating to Dubai, which is why I'm recording at this beautiful podcast studio. Now, let's dive right in. First, let's talk about what this new opportunity is and how exactly it could replace SaaS. Some of the ideas in this section for this video were inspired by a Y Combinator podcast episode, which I'll link down below for you to check out later. The key idea from that episode was that just recently, back in early 2000s, all software was sold on-premise. There was no SaaS model because all software was sold on CDs. You would buy a CD, install it, and this is how you'd get your software. Then, when the XML HTTP request or AJAX came out, it finally became possible to build interactive software directly in your browser, which is exactly what allowed for this new SaaS model. Today, we're experiencing an even bigger shift because with the rise of affordable and smart LLMs, software is becoming more interactive than ever before. You can now interact with your software as naturally as you would with any other human. There is no longer even a need for a browser anymore. Check out my previous video on GPT-4o if you want to learn more about that. But in a nutshell, what LLMs truly unlock for the world in 2025 and beyond is a completely new way to interact with technology, which is exactly what enables this revolutionary new AI business model called AaaS. Yes, agents as a service. AI agents are so much more powerful than SaaS because AI agents do exactly what SaaS does, but they do not require any manpower to run it. So for instance, HubSpot is just a CRM, but you still need a marketing person to use it. On the other hand, if you buy a marketing agent, you don't even need anyone else because the agent will use your CRM for you. It will generate leads, it will schedule appointments, it will follow up with them, and it will update that CRM for you. This is why I believe agents as a service could actually be even bigger than this 300 billion software as a service market. Agents do not just give you the tools to automate a specific process, they actually automate the entire process for you. So it's infinitely more scalable. Another important point I want to mention here is that it's actually much easier to build agents than traditional software products, unlike many people think. And you can trust me on this because before we started our agents as a service subscription, we actually built 4 large-scale SaaS products for ourselves and for our clients. You see, at its core, all SaaS products are essentially just wrappers around databases. HubSpot, Salesforce, QuickBooks, Zendesk, it doesn't matter. All of them are just user interfaces built on top of differently structured databases. So Zendesk is just a prettified database of your customer support tickets, while QuickBooks is a database of your transactions. And the beauty of AI agents is that they can work with these databases directly. There's way less code required because the agent can just hook up to your database without you having to build any super complex APIs or user interfaces. So not only agents provide significantly more value for businesses than SaaS, but they also require way less effort to build them. This is why I believe this is such a massive opportunity for anyone watching this. And to be clear, you are still extremely early. From this huge 300 billion market in 2024, enterprises only spent 1.2 billion on vertical agents. This is the type of AI agents, by the way, that we will be discussing in this video. Don't worry if you don't understand the term. In the next section, I will explain everything you need to know about vertical versus horizontal AI agents. The key thing to notice here is that the growth actually has been the highest among all other categories, 12x from the previous year. And the use cases are still extremely basic. It's pretty much just copilots, RAG, and support chatbots. Okay, now before I can present you with this complete roadmap you can follow right now to fully benefit from this opportunity, we first need to understand the difference between the two types of AI agents that you can build under this new agents as a service model, which are the horizontal agents and vertical agents. The biggest difference is that vertical agents are very niched down. They are made to perform only a specific single role or function. On the other hand, horizontal agents are not restricted by any specific use case. When you are building a horizontal solution, it means that you or anyone else can adapt it for any niche role or function. For example, Harvey AI is a vertical agent made specifically for law firms, while my agent framework, Agency Swarm, although can be used to make vertical agents, is a horizontal platform. Now, what this means from a technical perspective is that vertical agents come pre-trained for you, while horizontal agents require training from scratch. You see, a key insight that we discovered in our AI agency is that there are no two agents that are exactly the same. However, although most companies follow completely different sets of steps in their own processes, a general process for each role is still there. For example, a good developer always typically first looks at a task, then finds the relevant files, then writes a test, then writes the code, and then tests it until it works as expected, regardless of which company he works for. This is exactly what vertical agents are trained on. This pre-training on a general process for a specific role is what allows those agents to get up and running much faster. However, just as this can be a blessing, it can also be a curse. You see, the fact that those vertical agents have already been trained on a general process actually makes them harder to customize for a specific process in your or your client's business. For example, if your developers also need to write a documentation for each feature, but that documentation has to be placed in a completely different repo following a specific format, this is where vertical agents can struggle. On the other hand, horizontal agents are not restricted by this initial pre-training, so they can easily be customized for any process. So to fully grasp the differences, let's try to plot this on the graph. On the x-axis, we have the performance, while on the y-axis, we have the time or an effort required. This is what it looks like for vertical agents. You get a very steep return on investment in a very short amount of time because you don't have to train it from scratch. But then, as you can see, typically the performance plateaus as you've exhausted all its capabilities and you can't customize it any further. And this is what it looks like for horizontal agents. With horizontal agents, you need to invest a considerable amount of time and effort before you get any value at all. But then what typically happens further down the line is that you are able to achieve a higher return on investment because you are not constrained by this initial pre-training and you can customize it much further. The problem is that most business owners have no idea how to do this, neither any desire to do it themselves. If they can get to 80% performance with 20% effort, they will just go with the vertical solution. This is why with vertical agents you can get to extremely high revenue numbers in a very short amount of time. Just like with B2B SaaS compared to B2C SaaS, it's much easier to grow at those initial stages. Vertical agents are much easier to pitch and build yourself because you are only targeting a very specific type of a business customer. This is why I don't even recommend you to consider building a horizontal platform for maybe 99% of people watching this video. And this is why we ourselves at our agency will be expanding our offerings with vertical agents in 2025. Okay, now let's take a look at a few real-world examples of vertical agents. First, we have a platform called 11x, which is building an AI SDR and sales rep agents. They are automating your go-to-market and replacing platforms like Salesforce and Apollo, but again, not just giving you the tools, rather automating the entire process from generating leads to scheduling appointments and closing. They have just raised $50 million Series B round at around $350 million valuation. In total, they raised over $74 million. Honestly, I think $74 million is a total overkill. It's not like they're training their own large language models. They're still just hooking up to OpenAI API just like everyone else does. So don't bother by those crazy investment rounds. In my roadmap, you don't actually need any funding to get started at all. The next example is Carmen. This is a more niche down agent made specifically for construction project managers to help them automate administrative tasks. I personally prefer more niche down use cases like this, where it's not just an agent for a specific role, but it's an agent for a specific role in a specific industry or for a specific niche. I think these are much easier to pitch and can provide more value for your target customer after all. Norm AI is another example of such an agent for regulatory compliance teams. It helps them evaluate whether proposed content or actions are compliant with relevant regulations. And lastly, we have the famous Devin, which is a $500 a month development agent. Yeah, I don't even know what to say about this. Let me know, guys, if you want me to do a full review and compare it with some of the horizontal agents that we made in our agency. By the way, it surprisingly works in Slack. Just as I explained earlier, you don't really need a UI to run an agent. All right, now let's talk about what you'll actually need to build a vertical agent yourself. The first key component which you will most definitely need to focus on is data. In any AI project, the quality of your input data will ultimately determine the quality of your output. And recently people started to forget that AI agents are also first AI models. So to build an effective vertical agent, the first thing you need to focus on is collecting valuable internal data. This data will later either be used by you for training, evaluation, or for fine-tuning. Note that the data you collect has to be internal, because if it's not and if it's valuable, most likely ChatGPT has already been trained on that. The real magic happens when you train agents on this most precious internal data that all companies keep secret. However, if you don't have access to such data, it's not a big problem, because in my roadmap, I will actually explain how you can collect it as you go. The next key component for building vertical agents is industry-specific expertise. To build an effective vertical agent, you need to know your customer and their SOPs or standard operating procedures really well. From those SOPs, you will then extract the general process that the agent must follow. If you don't have industry-specific expertise, I definitely recommend partnering with someone who does. And lastly, you need some resources. It does not necessarily have to be funding. You can raise money if you want to, or you can apply to a startup accelerator. Seems like this is not a bad time to do so. However, don't build your product only to raise funding. This is the biggest mistake you can make. Focus on actually delivering value with whatever resources you have. You can easily get started completely by yourself by investing only your own time and effort. Okay, now that we've gathered these resources, you can choose one of the 3 methods to start building your own vertical AI agent. The first one is using a framework. The second one is leveraging a platform. And the third one is developing a fully custom-coded solution. So let's now explore the pros and cons of each approach. And then, as I promised, I will provide you with a roadmap. So first, as I said, you can build it using a framework. This means essentially using an agentic framework like Agency Swarm, Crew AI, LangChain, AutoGen, and others, which handle some of those lower-level details for you. The advantage of this approach is that it saves a significant amount of time and effort during development, and the downside is that you will still need some development experience. The next way to build a vertical agent is through a horizontal platform. Yes, you can actually build a vertical agent on top of another or even multiple horizontal platforms like Google Cloud Vertex AI Agent Builder, AWS Bedrock Agents, and others. This is the approach that the person who we will be interviewing at the end has selected, by the way, and it's pretty impressive how far you can take it. The benefits of this approach are scalability, meaning that you can serve as many end users as you want without managing the servers and without having that significant technical experience. However, one major drawback of this approach is the costs, because most of these platforms can get extremely expensive at scale. And the final way to build a vertical agent is through your own fully custom-coded solution. This is where you're not using a framework or another horizontal platform and just building everything from scratch yourself. With this approach, you obviously have complete control over everything and you're not constrained by any other systems, but you obviously need significantly more technical experience and development effort. I generally recommend starting with a framework or with a horizontal platform and then potentially transitioning to a completely custom-coded solution later when you are ready to scale. By the way, I have plenty of tutorials on how to build agents with my framework and even free cloud deployment templates on my channel that I will also link for you down below. The final thing before you can start building your agent that you need to consider and that can easily make or break your success is how to price your agent. So here are the 4 key AaaS pricing models that I've discovered so far. The first one is licensing. This is where clients pay either for a one-time setup fee or a monthly subscription fee to use your agent. This model is easier to pitch since clients know exactly what to expect upfront. However, it doesn't account for the actual value generated or usage of the agent, which means you risk either significantly underpricing or overpricing your solution. I recommend this model when you are just starting out so you can get some cash flows, case studies, and valuable feedback. The second pricing model is usage-based. This is when you charge customers based on their token or message consumption. For example, you can charge double or even triple OpenAI's token rate or set a fixed rate like 20 cents per message. This is already a much more scalable model, but you need to be sure that your agent will be constantly used, preferably even by multiple employees at the same time. That's why I believe this model is best for enterprise. The next model is outcome-based pricing. This is where it gets interesting. With some vertical agents, you can actually charge per result. For example, per appointment booked, per lead generated, or even per a website built. That's how many SMMA and other types of agencies are able to generate such massive revenues, because the clients can easily evaluate if your pricing makes sense compared to the results that they get. You can charge them significantly higher rates. I recommend this model for SMBs or small and medium-sized businesses. Finally, there is one more model that we'll be personally experimenting in 2025, which is the hybrid approach. With the hybrid model, you can combine multiple pricing strategies together. For example, you can charge a base fee of $3,000 per agent per month that includes 1,000 messages, and then charge extra $50 for each lead generated, or I don't know, for maybe 500 other messages. This approach lets you get the benefits of different pricing models. However, it does make your agent harder to pitch because it's harder to estimate the long-term costs. Now that we've covered the fundamentals, let me finally present you with the complete roadmap to fully leverage this opportunity in 2025. The first step is finding your niche. Ask yourself, which industries do you know best? Do you have any unique market insights, or do you know anyone else who could provide those insights? If so, this is the industry that you need to be in, because as I said before, understanding your target customer and their problems is key for vertical AI solutions. The next step is to identify a suitable problem for an AI agent to solve. Keep in mind that not every problem should be solved by AI agents. You need to find a recurring problem that appears repeatedly across the entire industry and that companies have struggled to automate before. It needs to be a dynamic process that traditional automation tools like Make or Zapier can't solve. The next step is to sell. This is the approach I always recommend. You shouldn't build your vertical agent before selling it. First, you need to find the client, and only then you build the solution specifically for that client. This helps you to reduce any upfront risk and eliminates any upfront investment, because your clients will essentially finance your vertical agent solution. This is why licensing works so well at the start. After finding a client, the next step is to build an MVP, a minimum viable product tailored for that specific customer. This is the step, by the way, where you can collect the necessary data if you haven't had access to it before. Simply ask your clients for their SOPs and any internal knowledge required to train the agent. However, obviously make sure to be clear about how you're planning to use it later, and make sure to anonymize it if needed. Don't worry about your solution being not reusable across multiple clients at this stage. The key right now is gathering feedback and understanding how your agent differs between those initial clients. After building solutions for a few clients, you'll start noticing patterns and similarities between them. You'll see which features remain consistent and which features need customization. At this point, you can begin productizing your agent. So at this stage, you need to identify which components remain constant and make sure that everything else can easily be modified from a single config file or a template, depending on which approach you selected. On a high level, all vertical agents are just pre-trained models combined with templates that you can easily customize for different clients. So, for example, if some of your clients use QuickBooks while others use Xero, ensure that you can easily adjust your agent's tools and switch between those two platforms. And the same applies to prompts. Make sure that you only change certain sections in your prompt and not rewriting every prompt every single time. After that, the next step is to evaluate. This means setting up the evals. Evals are a complex topic, and I'll probably be doing a completely separate video on that later, but tracking your agent's performance at this stage is crucial, because this is what's gonna allow you, or maybe the agent itself in the future, to improve its performance. With proper evals, you can completely destroy all of your competition, because the more agents you deliver, the better they will become. And the final step is scaling. So increase your marketing spend, hire more people if needed, and try to deliver as many of those agents as possible. If you priced your agent well, I hope to see you in Dubai here soon. Now let's talk to someone who has actually gone through all of these steps and successfully scaled their vertical AI voice solution to over $50,000 per month. After this interview, I will also share my personal thoughts on the future of vertical versus horizontal agents, because for some of my long-term viewers, you might be wondering, why am I building a horizontal platform after all? Okay, now let's get to the interview.
All right, so welcome, Chase. Chase here built one of the most impressive vertical AI voice solutions that I've personally seen so far. So Chase, can you give us a brief overview of what you've built?
Yeah, what we basically did was we integrated the good old technology that everyone's been using for a long time with CRMs and automations, and we married that into real authentic conversational AI. So voice AI, conversational AI, we married all those things in together. We really focus on everything after a lead comes in. Until that lead leaves the company, we can handle everything almost autonomously. We can, when they fill out a Facebook form, our AI agent can call them immediately, text them immediately. The voices are absolutely amazing. They can take all the information. They can update the CRM. They can book appointments. They can do rescheduling. They can update the names and emails and addresses in the CRM live on the call. And then we have another AI that will read the transcription, dictate what happens, update the CRM, and then they get automatically moved into the right bucket. So if it was like a not interested, then it would automatically tag them not interested, move them into the not interested pipeline, and it would remove them, put them on the do not call list, all without any human intervention.
So just as I said, vertical agents, they don't just give you the tools, they don't just give you the CRM, they actually use your CRM for you. This is what makes them so freaking scalable. So when you were getting started, how did you initially find this idea?
That's a great question. So that's a solar panel. Everybody thinks that's a curtain. That's a solar panel. I've helped about 600 people go solar. And I was already really deep into running my own team. So we had 4 people on the phones, and we used an awesome CRM. Everybody and their mother was trying to copy us and chase us for almost 5 years with what I thought were basic automations. But every time I check out a marketing agency, they're not doing any of the crazy follow-ups and nurture, speed to lead. And we have a bucket for every place that the lead needs to live throughout the entire journey. And over a 5-year period of time, that journey can really, really change, right? You need to be able to blast out anybody at any given time, old leads, new leads, data reactivation. So when voice AI came out, I already had the system part down, but we didn't have the scalability part. There's a ceiling right over my head, and we crushed in solar, and everybody was always like, why don't you guys explode? And I'm like, I don't think you understand how difficult it is to scale. I need to hire not 4 more reps. I need to hire like 10 or 20 more reps. I need to bring on like 4 or 5 times more lead volume. And if that fails in any way, shape, or form, it's going to crush or buckle what we're doing. So the risk did not outweigh the reward. So we just didn't scale. So when Voice AI came out, I went all in because I knew that was the one piece I was missing to be able to help other businesses, including my own, scale to oblivion. So it's like the power of 1,000 people in a call center at your fingertips.
So you already had this experience in your specific niche. You understood what the problem was in that niche. And then when the AI came out, you instantly realized that this was the solution to that problem.
100%.
And did you have any technical experience when you were getting started on this solution?
No, I mean, some, I would say all self-taught, right? Nothing that I went to school for, or not an IT director or a software engineer. I did get really good working CRMs and automations. Even though I have a team that builds a lot of that stuff, I like to build it. I like to know it. I enjoy it. Now, 2 years ago, the Voice AI was very complicated. It was probably the hardest thing I've ever done because it was all open webhooks, custom webhooks, one period in the wrong place, and everything failed. Fast forward to now, I can build, now it still needs to be tested, but I could build a Voice AI agent in like 10 minutes. Now to build the whole system and all the automations and sequencing and pipelines, that's a little different. It takes a few days from the team, but it's gotten so much easier than it was. So you don't need technical skill anymore to start utilizing this type of technology.
And what you're doing right now, it's all basically templatized. Like you say, it takes you 2 days to set up. There's basically like all of the templates, all of the like pre-built stuff that you've created that now you just take and customize for different clients. Is that how it works?
For the most part, that's how it works. Occasionally, it is something unique and completely custom.
Yeah.
But for the most part, we have a system that has like 58 workflows, right? Everything you could imagine from no call, no show, speed to lead, 7-day nurture, 3-week nurture, 6-month nurture, 52-week nurture, canceled invoicing contracts. Our system can do everything. So we have that template. And then when we sell a company, we only give them what they need. So we try to focus on the 20% that's going to move the needle 80%, because, I think where people get really caught up is they try to do too much because they think, well, AI can do this, and it can. You can solve the whole system. But this is like compound interest. You got to invest in something first and then keep putting a little bit of energy, time, and love into it. And that agent gets better and better and better. So it's always better to start small. Start with a calling agent that's going to handle your leads, speak to lead. Then after that, let's work on nurture. Then after that, let's work on database reactivation. Then you look back 3 months later and you're like, did I just create an army of people with 3 AI agents? Yeah, you 10x your business with 3 or 4 or 5 agents. But doing it all at once, it's like it mentally makes people's head explode.
Yeah, and by following this approach, you also don't start from zero. That's also a cool part about focusing on a specific niche, is that you don't go, from scratch every single time for every single client. You actually build upon your own existing solution, and then the more clients you get, the better your solution gets as well. So
Absolutely.
This sounds extremely exciting. Can we get a demo right now?
You want a demo, huh? Okay. Let's see if Mrs. Grace AI, her name is Grace Silver. Let's see if she's up for doing a quick demo.
Hey, Charles. This is Grace from Infinite AI. How's it going today?
Very good. I've got my buddy Arseny on a podcast and a bunch of people are watching. Can you say hi to everybody?
Well, hello there, podcast people. Grace from Infinite AI here, your friendly, sassy AI sales assistant. Hope you're all ready to dive into the world of AI magic where sales hassles disappear faster than your Wi-Fi during a binge watch session. Let's make business smarter, shall we? Cheers, everyone.
Yeah, go ahead and tell everybody what you do real quick.
All right, buckle up, folks. I'm Grace Silver, your AI sales assistant extraordinaire from Infinite AI. Is level up by automating up to 90% of their sales process. Think lead generation, follow-ups, appointment setting, and even reactivating those dead leads you thought were goners. Basically, I'm like the sales superhero you didn't know you needed, saving time, boosting ROI, and making your life a whole lot easier. Oh, and I do it all without coffee breaks or sick days. So who's ready to let AI do the heavy lifting? Mic drop.
I think that's pretty awesome, but let's impress everybody a little bit. I'm changing directions here so that everybody can see your capabilities. Really quickly, can you tell us that everybody needs an AI employee and say it in Spanish so they can hear your multilingual capability?
Claro que sí. Todos necesitan un empleado de inteligencia artificial. ¿Por qué? Porque ahorra tiempo, aumenta las ventas y elimina los dolores de cabeza del proceso de ventas. Es como tener un empleado estrella que nunca duerme ni se cuesta. ¿Quién no querrá?
All right, that was amazing. That was amazing. Now let's change directions again. I want you to give my buddy Arseny here a musical rap. I mean Eminem style, Slim Shady, a musical rap on how AI employees are going to change the game in 2025. In English.
Oh, snap. All right, here we go. Yo, it's 2025. AI's taking the stage. Infinite AI, we're flipping the page. Sales game strong. We're breaking the mold. AI employees, the future's pure gold. Jackson's on the follow-ups, keeping it tight. Leads stay warm. Conversions take flight. Alice on retention. She's the loyalty queen, keeping customers happy like a sales machine. Digging deep, reactivating the debt, old data into green instead. And Jack's the custom king, tailor-made for you. Whatever your biz needs, he's coming through.
All right, girl, you're pretty awesome. We got to jump here. I want to show them one more thing. Can you transfer me over to the sales department, please?
Transferring you over to the sales department now. They're going to take great care of you.
No way.
Hi there, this is Jack Silver from Infinite AI. It's a lovely Tuesday morning.
What?
And then, were you transferred by Grace or did
Yeah, we were transferred by Grace, man. She's quite the badass.
Hey, Grace is definitely amazing. She knows how to connect the right people. So what's your name and how can I help you today?
So
This is crazy.
That was the sales agent. One was like an inbound, normal conversational agent. So you can transfer over to sales, and he knows all of our pricing, all of our stuff. So that was a lot of pivots. I don't know if everybody can understand how powerful that really was,
This is
but
nuts.
your human rep busting a rap out of nowhere on a pitch. The ability for it to mentally change directions is absolutely bonkers.
This is nuts. This is one of the most mind-blowing demos I've seen so far. And I've actually scheduled calls with companies like 11X that have like 70 millions in funding.
Oh, 11X, they're like 20 grand a month.
This is crazy. This is
And
absolutely
11X
incredible.
does one thing. They do outbound. That's it. They don't do nurture. They don't do follow-up. They don't do database reactivation. They don't do any of these things.
All right. Can I ask you how much are you making with this solution right now per month?
So our best month was close to 100 grand. We've had several really successful webinars that were like 70 grand. I'd say on average, reoccurring revenue probably ranges from 30 to 60 grand. And really it should be a lot higher, but we've pivoted directions several times because this is a new evolving game, right? So we've realized what we enjoy doing and we've realized what we don't enjoy doing. And so what we're pivoting into is a build and stay model, not just build and release. So we offer two models. One is build and release. So I build the infrastructure. We train the AI employees. We build the sequences, the automations, the CRM all in one. You literally don't need anything else. And then we train your team. You pay a monthly and you pay a build. The next area is what we call a growth partner. This is where we build and stay. So we're like a fractional CAIO of your company. So I just sold a solar company, $7,500 down, $7,500 per month. And we are going to run all of the systems that we build. Now, for his specific use case, it's simple. It just needs to call, set solar appointments, and get them over to a human rep. And they can take same-day appointments. That's it. He doesn't need database reactivation. He doesn't need this. He doesn't need that. So we're going to build the system, and then we are going to deploy it every day. We're going to listen to the agents. We're going to make the optimizations. We're going to build the text and the other sequences to optimize ROI, and we're tied into the revenue. So we get the 7,500 plus the revenue split. So that way, we only want to work with companies who want to wake up and think, man, I really want Chase fired up about my business today. This is not an agency model that exists. We're not an agency. I'm not just giving you appointments. I don't want to just give you appointments. I want to be tied in. And if you don't want us excited, that's okay. Then you can do the build and release, but they'll never get what we can get out of the system because we built it. We know it. It's salespeople that built the tech, not tech people doing the right.
Yeah, this is what's crazy with AI agents. And this is why it's such a huge opportunity. Unlike with standard AI models, you can create some really new pricing models where you're not just charging the client for tokens, you're actually charging them per results or like the revenue share where the potential is just so much higher. And when you do combine those different use cases together, this is actually where I've also seen the biggest return on investment. You know, when you have multiple agents and when you actually work on every single agent for a very long time, and you're not just starting with like 2, 3, 4 agents just for the sake of, having a multi-agent system, where you actually work on each agent thoroughly, where you train it, and only after it performs exceptionally well for its own specific use case, you move on to the next one. This is where I've seen those biggest returns, where you combine the power of both agents and instantly like the power of your system 10x's.
Absolutely. I really couldn't agree more. That's kind of what I was talking about earlier, starting small and then building upon success, not just you hire me and tell me you want 5 agents and you want no call, no show and this and that and the other. I'll try to talk you out of it. 6 months ago, I would have let's go. Now I'm telling you, I'll do it, but let's do it in stages. Let's spend the first 3 or 4 weeks and do this. Let's let that outbound agent do its thing right. Then once that's perfected, now let's get our database reactivation agents. Now let's get our nurture agents. This way it's easier to maintain mentally. You understand and you can compartmentalize what's going on.
Yeah, exactly. So where can we find out more about your work? And if anyone is interested in actually working with you, where should we direct them to?
Our website is myinfinite.ai. So myinfinite.ai/AI-employees. That's another page that's really specific to what we do.
Got it. Okay, awesome. So we'll link it down below if anyone wants to check out Chase's solution. And thank you so much, Chase, for joining. It's extremely impressive what you've built so far. You are literally competing with companies that have millions, even tens of millions of dollars in funding. And I believe right now you are even beating them. So congrats, and I hope to see your solution scale even further this year.
Likewise, man, I'm equally excited for what you got going on whole different levels. Having agents do all of our posting and all of our marketing and all that cool stuff. Really exciting to have met you and get a collaboration going, man. It keeps me up at night.
Likewise. Yes, let's discuss this further. Thank you, Chase.
So, in conclusion, I wanted to address one more thing, which is the future of vertical versus horizontal agents. As I said, if you've been following my channel before, you're probably wondering, why am I building a horizontal platform when there's such a huge opportunity for vertical agents in 2025? Well, first of all, we are already building vertical agents on top of our platform. And secondly, although there are many similarities between SaaS and AaaS, there are also some key distinctions that would simply not be possible with SaaS. Like the fact that agents can self-improve and build other agents. So in my opinion, as these models keep getting bigger and smarter, we will eventually have a horizontal agent platform that can build vertical agents for virtually any use case from a single prompt. Just a single prompt will get you to like 80% performance compared to other vertical platforms, and then the agent will also be able to set up its own evals and self-improve even further. However, I don't think vertical agents are going away anywhere anytime soon. I think both will have their place. Some people will prefer vertical, some people will prefer horizontal, and many will probably even combine both to start businesses without any employees at all. For more groundbreaking AI trends in 2025, like thermodynamic computing, that could potentially have even greater impact, I recommend watching this video next. Thank you for watching until the end, and don't forget to subscribe.